So those are my caveats and warnings. Let's jump into part one. There will be 3 parts in this seminar. Part 1 is called Concepts and Preparation, which will be prerequisite understanding and introductory material before getting into methods. Part 2 will be methods, and part 3 will be integration and progress. Okay, so let's jump in with part 1, concepts and preparation for shadow work. Hold on a moment. I have a little issue going on here. I'm going to have to restart the slides here. Just give me one moment. Sorry for the technical issue, folks. I am having a glitch here. Okay, that looks like it handled it. See, so when you are prepared, you don't have to panic. You do the troubleshooting steps, you rework what needs to be reworked, and you continue, right? So, problem solved. And again, that's part of shadow work, believe it or not, right? Staying present, staying focused, knowing what needs to be done, understanding the requirements, and then you go and do those things, as we'll talk about. So, what is shadow work? Let's present our basic working definition that we will be following throughout the entire seminar. To provide a working definition, shadow work may be loosely defined as internal spiritual work which is conducted upon oneself to examine the most underdeveloped aspects of the self and to explore and practice techniques for self-improvement and self-actualization. Real shadow work, as opposed to many quote-unquote new age variants of shadow work, real shadow work emphasizes uncomfortable real-world action over comfortable wishful thinking, which is what is generally presented and passed off as shadow work in the new age community, when what it really is spiritual bypassing. Stepping over necessary natural processes and steps to do the true internal transmutation and self-work to achieve real self-actualization. Meaning you're actually doing the things that you're supposed to be doing in the world. You're actually fulfilling your dharma, your work in the world. This is left out entirely in New Age so-called shadow work. And it will be that those aspects of taking real world action will be highly emphasized in this process. Real shadow work is a deep dive into occult knowledge. So once again, when people hear the word occult, they immediately have a reaction. They have some kind of a negative reaction because they've been brainwashed. So if you hear the word occult and that brings up negative feelings in you, you're brainwashed. You're still asleep. You're still mentally manipulated by the real controllers of our world. They got you. They're in your head. They're living rent-free in your head. Okay? They've told you false definitions repeatedly so much that you believe the false definition as the real one. The word occult is actually derived from the Latin adjective occultus, meaning hidden. And that is all the word means. That's all it ever has meant. That's all it ever will mean. The word occult means hidden. It does not mean evil. It does not mean dastardly. It does not mean lawless. It does not mean satanic. It means hidden. Hidden from the average everyday mind of the average everyday person. That's what we mean by it's hidden from you. And it also is hidden in the sense that most people don't understand it. It's hidden from their understanding. It evades their understanding because it has esoteric qualities to it, meaning it requires going very deeply into the topic from a point of an expanded worldview. Occultism is the study of hidden psychology and hidden laws of nature in combination. That's what if we say we're studying the body of occult knowledge, it means you're studying deep personal psychology that is generally hidden from the public. And secondly, you're studying laws of nature that are hidden from the public, that the controllers and the mind control sorcerers, the social engineers who are acting as gods because they think that they are and have the right to rule us, and acting as the slave masters over the slaves, don't want people to know. It's in their vested interest to keep this secret and hidden, and to keep it from the understanding of the average Joe and Sally. Okay? So, the study of occult knowledge involves and requires the acceptance of a much wider worldview. And we're going to talk about worldview over and over today. It's really where it begins and ends with worldview. So, the study of true occult knowledge involves and requires the acceptance of a much wider worldview than that which is ordinarily taken by the everyday person. So this may not be for everybody because they haven't worked their worldview into a state of proper reception for this knowledge. Their worldview is too confined, it's too narrow, it's too closed. They don't have an open mind. They don't have receptivity to learning. Or they've been convinced none of this means anything. And they're wrong on all counts. There's a truth regarding that. It can be determined and understood and taken into oneself with the trivium method, which we're going to talk about. And there is an objective truth to this. This is not religious by its nature. It has nothing to do with belief. I detest and want to see those things destroyed. Like, I don't believe in propagating religion, and I don't like trying to propagate belief systems. I want to propagate knowledge, objective knowledge. So, a true and serious student of occultism may be defined as one who studies all of the aspects of the self and all of the laws of nature, especially those aspects which are much more difficult to see than those which lie at the surface level, that we could easily see or easily perform scientific tests for. When we're talking about the deeply hidden, we're talking about things that lie well below the surface of the everyday person's personality and well below the surface of just things we can test with simple scientific instrumentation. We're talking about things that you have to explore at a deep and profound and fundamental worldview level. So that's what shadow work is a part of. It's a part of the body of occult knowledge. So what are the bodies of occult knowledge? In general, what does the occult comprise? The occult, if you just take that as a general term, as a piece of terminology, the occult, the knowledge of occultism, consists of two main bodies of hidden knowledge. The first is the workings of the human psyche. So again, deep personal psychology. And the second component contains the workings of the laws of nature. All of the laws of nature, both the physical laws and the spiritual laws. Not just one or the other. So these are represented symbolically in different traditions through different forms of symbolism. And in the tarot tradition, which I'm presenting here on this slide, the bodies of occult knowledge are reflections of each other. There's the microcosm, which is again the self and deep hidden personal psychology. And then there's the macrocosm, the world, the universe. And those are the laws of nature, all of them, whether seen or unseen, whether physical or spiritual. So this is known as the minor arcana and the major arcana. And minor does not mean it's any less important. It just means it deals with the microcosmic world or the inner world, the small level, the monad of consciousness. Okay? Hence why it's the Fool card. And again, the Fool is not really meant to be like, it's a joke, he's an idiot, he's a prankster, he's a jokester. It means naivete when entering the world until you gain enough knowledge that you're streetwise. This is about streetwise spirituality. You know, not remaining a baby, not remaining, oh, that guy said some uncomfortable words. If you're worried about that, go hear some New Age bullshit lecture. Okay? This is the high level spiritual knowledge for the strong. And the Fool card is not really the Fool, it's the Soul card. Some people even say the term Fool even came from a mistranslation in French. Whether that's true or apocryphal is not the point. The point is the Fool is actually the Soul card. And again, that's the inner world, the soul. It's knowledge of the self and deep personal psychology. It's knowledge of how the human psyche operates, how it is motivated, how it is driven, how it could even be manipulated, and to be watchful of things like that. So that's the minor arcana, depicted here by the Fool, preparing to step off the cliff with very little resources at his disposal, going off on the spiritual journey with his spiritual assistant animal, the dog by his side. Profound symbolism in the tarot. It should absolutely be studied. And for anybody messaging me on Telegram, please don't. While I'm presenting, don't bother sending me anything. Okay? I just want to say that because it's distracting, because you're making the icon bounce on my screen. So just please don't message me while I'm presenting. It's too late to say anything. If you have problems, you have problems. I'm sorry, but you should have prepared better. So once again, you can get as mad at me as you want. It's actually on you. It's the same as shadow work. You either do the work and you're prepared, or you don't do the work and you fail. That's really what it comes down to. Okay? Continuing. The major arcana is the macrocosmic level. Okay? It's what we would perceive as the outer world, but it's still really one thing. These two things are one. Okay? But it's what we would perceive as the external reality that we are living in. And it is about ultimately knowledge of all of the laws of nature, both the physical sciences and the knowledge of universal moral law, which is natural law. So that is the knowledge of the macrocosmic level of the occult. And it is represented by the world or universe card in the tarot deck. Again, you see the reflection of the zero with the wreath around the goddess figure, okay? And you see that's the cosmic egg, the womb of creation from which all arises, from which all matter, energy, consciousness comes from. And that is depicted above the Fool's head as the zero card of the deck. That's why it's the zero card. They wanted to make that association and reflection. Okay? And then you see the four pillars of the zodiac, the lion, the man, the bull, and the eagle. You get the general idea. So if we laid out the cards in the Kabbalistic tradition, if we laid the tarot cards out in the two trees, the Fool card lies at the dot or hidden knowledge position of the microcosmic tree of life, and the world or universe card lies at the dot position, the hidden knowledge of the macrocosmic tree. So even the layouts of the tarot cards in the Kabbalistic layouts of the two trees, which I've presented in my former work, in my previous work, are showing you the reflection that these are the bodies of occult knowledge. It's a beautiful tradition if it is studied. That's why I used it to illustrate the concept of what are the bodies of knowledge of the occult. Okay, so the minor arcana, the self and the inner psychological world, and then the major arcana, the external or laws of nature and of natural law. Now, largely what this particular seminar is going to deal with is the minor arcana. That's what we're going to be dealing with today, because shadow work is all about delving into, exploring, and making changes in the world of the self, the inner psychological world, the human psyche. So what this entire seminar is largely going to deal with is this aspect of the occult. Now, will it integrate and touch upon the wider knowledge of the macrocosmic world and natural law? Of course. They go hand in hand. As I said, they're ultimately really one thing. But the focus here is on the microcosmic aspects, the aspects of the self, obviously. Why is shadow work so important? Why is this not some like just frivolous, talk about it in passing concept? Why is this deeply, deeply critical and must be integrated if we're going to make any progress in healing ourselves or the world. In direct keeping with the natural law principle of correspondence, which is as above, so below, as within, so without. So the universe is really, or our entire civilization is a reflection of the combination of inner worlds of people. So all of the aggregate of all of the individuated consciousness within each self comprises the quality of the so-called outer world of what is going to become the human condition. So in keeping with the principle of correspondence, which is the universe is self-similar across all scales of existence, or it has simply been said generally in the Hermetic tradition and other occult traditions, as above, so below. The quality and condition of our world as a whole is directly proportional to the quality and condition of the people who comprise our world. Let's say that again. The quality and condition of the human experience as a whole is going to be directly proportional to the quality and condition of all of the individuals who comprise our civilization. That should make perfect sense. This should be deeply grokked. This should be deeply understood at a fundamental level. The law of correspondence. In other words, when we do shadow work to heal and improve ourselves, the whole condition of the entire world in which we live is going to be healed and improved in the aggregate as a result, to that extent, in proportion with that self-improvement. That's why this is so important. If we heal ourselves, the world is healed to that extent. If we improve ourselves, the world is improved to that extent. We are not separate from the human condition and the externally perceived reality in which we live, which is a shared reality. So the extent that we do shadow work to improve and heal ourselves is the extent we are going to contribute to the improvement and healing of our entire civilization and our entire species.